was a sleepover theme, but I just felt so spring-like that oh hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, Episode 13, Alone Together, Ru United. And before we get started, as always, I just want to thank all of you that visited PayPal this last week to drop a little tip on me. I have to say, it just makes me just smile every time I see a notice in my email, and you have no idea what it means, really. The support is delicious. So I want to thank you for that support. Colby Cromry, thank you so much. Kimmy's Closet. Now, Kimmy, do I already know you? Because I'm not sure. There's a Kimmy that I chat with on the YouTube messages, but Kimmy's Closet, I checked you out on your Facebook page, and I hope that this is you, because you look like a hoot and a half. Everyone check out Kimmy's Closet if you need any kind of children's entertainment or any of that. Now, of course, Kimmy, if this is not your closet, then please ignore just what I said. Seriously. And whoever that is, call me. Seriously. Also, I want to thank Bradley May, Wilkins. I'm going to say this wrong, Wilkins, and I'm so sorry, but it's Tegeny, 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 Sade. I don't know how you pronounce that, Wilkins, but thank you so much for tipping me. Timothy Peters, thank you as well. And Catherine McReachin. You can tip me. There are links down below for PayPal. Also, you can buy merch from Redbubble. This is new. I went to go on Uber the other day, and I don't know about where you are, but in Toronto, you can't get into an Uber or into some environments without a face mask on, which is so different from the beginning of this whole coronavirus situation. So I thought, well, if I'm going to wear a face mask, I'm going to wear mine. So I put my own together. I already ordered a bunch of these. So as soon as they come in, which should be in a week or two, I'll definitely show you. But in the meantime, if you buy... They're washable. They're meant to be worn once, so I bought 4. And the reason I bought 4 is if you buy 4, you get 20% off. So these are available. And if you want to stay safe, but make sure everyone knows you're in need of a cocktail so they don't rough you up too much, there you go. Well, that's enough housekeeping. Let's get to it. Jorge, drink me. Ooh, look at you making me a fancy... Well, no, we've had these before. I mean, there's no garnish, there's no olives, but a martini with gin. All right. Yummy. Okay, so let's get to it. First of all, let's just thank VH1, World of Wonder, and the entire casting crew of RuPaul's Drag Race for making this reunion happen. I thought it was fabulous. I'm so glad that they recorded it ahead of time. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care how scripted it was. I don't care if they sat there and recorded each queen alone on their own. They weren't talking to anybody. In the worst case scenario of this being a manufactured reunion, I thought it went incredibly smoothly. First of all, let's point out the fact that with Sherry Pie not there, they had the perfect number of squares for Ru to be next to them. So right away, that seemed to be providence. And second of all, the fact that no one talked over, there were no delays, there was no, well, Britta's screen flickered once or twice, but I think that was Jesus. But there was a couple of things that I hate about streaming a video chat or something like that didn't happen during this. So thank you for that. Also, for a lot of the crew, well, Ru for sure, very good resolution. Very good resolution. But can we just start off by asking, what the hell was Ru wearing? I mean, I get it. She was, instead of wearing a mask, she was wearing a mask. And to wear that mask meant she didn't have to wear makeup, which made doing the whole reunion easier, I'm sure. And I'm sure that she isn't against wearing makeup, but in this quarantine situation, she would probably have had to have done her own, which I don't think RuPaul's done her own makeup in decades. So, and that's not a read. I'm just saying, when you have that kind of money, why don't you have a nap while someone makes you beautiful? I'm just saying. But that all said, it was, I have to say, technically fabulous reunion with all the girls singing the Shady Bunch song, and even Widow Von Du, and I clearly have great tastes in fan. But I have to say, I used to get there's a reason I didn't show this fan a lot. While I was doing the Fingerdoo review. I mean, I've had this for years, but it's because it was looking rough. I was getting makeup on it and it's starting to wear. And Widow's was even worse. She has some wear on the wood and everything. So I immediately felt better about my fans. So there you go. The reunion already helping people. Just saying. So after a quick walk down memory lane via a montage of all the queens' best, maybe more memorable moments for season 12, Ru started talking to the queens. Now, normally she would talk to them in order of elimination, but this time she did them in groups, who was from where, vice versa. So the first group was the largest group, the girls from New York City, and Jan was first, and she looked cute in her curlers, didn't she, with her Glamazonian Airwaves cap on. What I loved the most, though, was that her robe was covered in pictures of her face at that moment when she didn't win the Madonna Rusical challenge that she was so convinced she had. And it was that whole, Jan, you didn't win, clunk. Oh, that's that face that was covering the robe. So I have to say, that just made me laugh. And I have to say, it also made me like Jan a little bit more. Not that I didn't like her a little bit less. I'm just saying. The other thing that I also enjoyed about Jan was her saying that she was spending the quarantine in her apartment, in Hell's Kitchen, with her boyfriend while they put smiles on each other's faces. I know what that means. Sex. God, I hate living alone. Nicki Doll was breathtaking in her Grecian over-the-shoulder, I don't know what that was, but I could totally see her wearing that to bed. Or, doing whatever she wants in it, because she's Nicki Doll. One thing she's been doing a lot of, though, by her own admission, was eating. God bless her. She says she's no longer a sample size. She's been eating her emotions and whatever else she's been finding in the fridge. And all I have to say is, good for you, Nicki. You eat that food. Of course, she gains weight and she still looks hungry. Our Miss Cox was next, and she looked absolutely gorgeous in that deep orangey red satin robe ensemble with the head wrap and just that touch of jewelry, just a little soupçon of jewelry. No point gilding the lily. I mean, she is going to bed after all. I'm just saying. Seriously, she made me think of Ava Gardner on Green Acres. Just a little too glamorous. Britta looked good, but that's probably because she escaped New York before the lockdown to go ride out the quarantine at her parents' house in Maine. And why wouldn't you? I mean, seriously, that basement is better than my apartment. She got a pool table, a treadmill, big screen TV. Britta's doing all right in Maine. I'm just saying. Another looker was Dahlia. First of all, that wig, delicious, but that makeup, so innovative. I mean, to me it was. I haven't seen a drag queen wear that little and yet that much makeup all in the same look. It was really beautiful. But trust me, anything is beautiful after watching her one too many times in that Brock Ally costume. I'm just saying. Next, Ru visited with her Southern queens, and the first one was Aiden, the queen of the bedroom. Not like that, not like that. She said that the quarantine has been fine for her because she performs in her bedroom already, so it's more or less business as usual for her. And I just have to say, I love that she wasn't wearing a kitty cat wig, but I love that she had 5 of them on wig heads right behind her. And I have to say, that look she was wearing, that no one can hear you scream in the Valley of the Dolls realness, was absolutely gorgeous. I love that she was wearing pink. I like the hair and her makeup. She's really elevated her look without changing it, because I just felt there was more color on her face. There was just a little more warmth, and it just made for a more a detailed look. I'm so serious. Ru's other Southern queen, of course, was Heidi, and she looked good. I mean, for someone who lives next to pigs and cows. I mean, it's easy to look good around people who've let themselves go. I'm just saying. Actual pigs? Well, then she looks sensational. Seriously. I loved her little bow hat and chain thing because I could totally see her in bed wearing that too. Not like that. Next, we move to the Midwest Queens, and from the Show Me state of Missouri, Crystal, who I have to say, she was the queen I was most excited to see what she would be wearing at the reunion. And I also have to say, I think I was the most disappointed with her look. Not because, I mean, it was the most unexpected thing anyone to wear. So she stood out, and I did enjoy her makeup was spectacular. But I really would have liked to have seen, I don't know, something, I don't know. Maybe I just imagined her in a dress and she threw me so much that my brain wouldn't let me like it. Widow Von Du looks super comfy in her curlers and PJs with that teddy bear under her arm, but I think really what was making her comfortable was that big old coffee mug full of tequila. Seriously. And then it was off to California to chat with Gigi Good, who looked gorgeous. Of course she looked gorgeous. I love her. I love that red seems to be her signature hair color, although she looks good in almost anything that she wears. And I liked her modest little polka dot PJ set. Rock'em Sakura looked fantastic for somebody who admittedly has been pounding the pud or choking the chicken or trying to get the lid off the pickle jar as much as she's been doing lately. Seriously. I mean, her hands must be so slippery. I'm surprised she could hold a makeup brush at all. Just saying. And I'll say it, Ru saved the best for last. Miss Jada Essence Hall in her Sleepy Go Bedtimes outfit. I love that it looked like she was lying in a bed with the face mask and the Z's. She's just adorable. And I have to say, one of the queens, again, I was looking forward to seeing what she would be wearing. And she didn't disappoint me. Here's to you, J-E-H. Seriously. And then they got into it. Ru, first of all, asked Heidi what it was like to have Nicki Minaj tell her she hated her makeup. And the thing I was most surprised about from Heidi's answer was that she had been in anger management, and that she had been in anger management because she had been picked on as a child. But I have to say, I understand that. I think when, especially when you're not being listened to, or people are dismissing you or treating you like everything that you do and say isn't worth paying attention to, I can totally see somebody like Heidi being angry all the time because of that and reacting to these mean people in kind. But that said, she was very eloquent about the whole point that there are only two people that she's afraid of in life: God and her grandmother. And so it was no problem for her to talk to Nicki Minaj about her face. I'm so serious. As for Gigi, more or less saying the same thing to Heidi, but in a less blunt way, I felt that Gigi's apology was sincere. I think that she really was able to articulate what she meant, why it came off wrong, and why she was wrong in doing it at all. So, seriously, well done for you, Gigi Good. Cheers, dears. And then Heidi revealed some fun news that I think disappointed Ru more than it really should have. As Ru had picked on Heidi all season, i.e. her name, and giving her any other name but in closet, Heidi had announced that after chatting with her fans who pay her bills, she will not be changing her name. And the reason is because her fans like calling themselves closet cases. Heidi in closet, closet cases. And you know what? That's a good enough reason to keep a name. I'm so serious. Keep your fans happy, Heidi. You know I would do it. Next, Ru asked Nicki Doll what it was like when the entire cast had named her as a queen who should go home next. And she really, of course, was disappointed and upset with the rest of the cast, but then she also had picked herself. So I think she was a little more upset about that. Ru then asked Britta why she picked Nicki, and Britta gave some long-winded, circuitous non-answer that had Aiden's eyes rolling so far in the back of her head, I thought they were going to stay there. Crystal said she didn't pick Heidi because the two of them were in a scene together, skewered on that fork. So the only person that she felt right to pick was Nicki. But then Nicki said, well, why didn't you put Britta's name forward? And I have to say, at least Crystal was honest. She said she didn't know. Heat of the moment. Whatever. Bandwagon. Ooh, that was a good music. And of course, Heidi said that she picked Nicki because she was convinced it was going to be her and Nicki in the bottom anyway, so she couldn't pick herself. She might as well make it easy on everybody. At least it's an answer. Then Ru took a moment to thank Nicki for stepping in last minute to do Pete Davidson's makeup for a sketch with him and Ru on SNL. And I just thought that was lovely. I mean, clearly they were in a bind, and I'm sure that they tried to reach everyone, and I'm sure that when Nicki answered and she said, sure, I can come over right now, they wet their pants. But what I loved about it was Nicki saying what an experience it was for her to not just be on a set and to work with these people, but to see Ru working and doing what's made RuPaul the industry that she is. Seriously. Way to kiss that butt, Nicki. I'm just... But before we were done with Ms. Doll, she had something to say. Apparently, a lot of the fans had been picking on her for her accent and making, I guess, fun of her on social media. I don't know. It's weird for me to hear that because as a Canadian, I guess we're more used to French. I mean, doesn't mean we like them anymore. Kidding. Seriously, the French are lovely people. But at least in Canada, we're more used to them. Even the accent doesn't throw us that much. But clearly in America, it's a going concern because the one thing that Nicki wanted to know was who the frig Pepe Le Pew was. And, well, Pepe Le Pew. Hilarious. And, you know, the fact that France has no idea who Pepe Le Pew is, I think makes me like France just a little bit more. Just saying. Our Ms. Cox was not only voted the Susan Lucci of season 12, but she was also voted the Bossy Rossi of season 12 because apparently, and from the video clips, she liked to tell people what to do. Now, in her defense, not a lot of people seem to know what to do and never seemed to have a problem with her when she was telling them what to do. But, I mean, I know for a fact that Jada Essence Hall wasn't pleased. And, I mean, seriously, a lot of the queens, Nicki, oh, they didn't say anything at the time, but... you could see that they were feeling it. And even though they were all laughing, I think that it must have stung Jackie just a little bit because Ru thought, well, to make her feel better, he would share with her a video message from Lisa Rinna and her husband. So funny. Just the fact that she and Harry Hamlin took the time. Well, what else are they doing? I mean, clearly they did it in their bedroom. They didn't even put on shoes. But seriously, they didn't have to. I was very, very pleased for our Miss Cox. Seriously. Next, Ru asked Aiden, with all of those multiple personalities she said she had, why did she only have the one wig? Well, clearly she has 5. All her personalities like the same haircut, I think is the answer to that story. But the bigger issue with Aiden seemed to be that nap she took on episode 4 when she finished hot gluing balls to a corset and she took a nap for the rest of the show. And I have to say, the only people that seemed really, really put out by this were the people that were upset that with that minimal effort, Aiden Zane was still safe. And by other people, I mean Britta, which was the next issue for Ms. Zane. What was all of that going on between her and Britta? And I have to say, Britta really surprised me because where in the past she's been very evasive with her apologies and really not saying I'm sorry, but sounding contrite. This was an honest apology. I was very surprised. And you could see that not only was Britta affected by how the world saw her, but she was also affected by how she let herself be seen. So I think it was a very big growing moment for Britta. Good for her. Of course, the next topic of discussion was Britta's 180 after Aiden's elimination, saying that she loved her and was proud of her and all the rest of the lies that vomited out of her mouth as far as Widow Von Du's concerned. And I have to say, I like that Widow thought at the time it was fake and still did, and didn't mind saying as much. Good for Widow. Clearly, she is not afraid of anybody. The next topic of discussion was emotional eliminations, particularly Dahlia Sins and Rock'em Sakura's. First up, Dahlia Sin. She was the first queen eliminated, and she was not happy about it. You could tell she was embarrassed. She's Aja's drag daughter. She expected to do a little bit better than first elimination. And I think it also wore her a bit thin that Nicki's team with Widow Von Du and Crystal had been safe when she felt that they were the worst. So clearly Dahlia was not happy, and I'm not sure if her storming off was the reason that they brought the Brock ally back so much, but I'm glad they did. And of course, Rock'em Sakura's elimination. Oh, I can still hear her wailing in the hallways of that recording studio. I'm so serious. And you can tell the girls still said how emotional it was because they could hear her too. I mean, she was upset, seriously. But in other news, it seems that Rock'em and her mom have reconciled. The fact that her mom's been sober for a while now is certainly, I'm sure, a big help. So here's to Rock'em and her mom and continued growth and emotional health, seriously. Next up, we chatted with Widow Von Du about her downward spiral into the land of her emotions. And while she was saying how hard it was for her to get out of her head during the competition, you could tell that that fire was back, burning bright within her, and that she was clearly grateful for the entire experience, seriously. Next to be scrutinized was Jan and her tears of deflection. Was she crying because she hadn't won the Madonna Rusical Challenge? Or was she crying because, as she said, Britta, her best friend, more or less got eliminated? And I have to say, I was super impressed by her, that she admitted that she was crying more about herself than she was about Britta. Seriously. Then, as we usually do during these reunion episodes, it was time to toot or boot some of the most memorable looks from the runway. The first look was Jada's bubble extravaganza from the ball, and everyone tooted it. Of course they did. It was gorgeous, it was cute, it was funny, and it was totally Jada, seriously. Another toot was Crystal's Freddy Krueger look, and I have to say, this is still my favorite look for the entire season, and I may even go out on a limb here and say it's my favorite look out of RuPaul's Drag Race ever. I would have to go through a couple of them, but just the simplicity of this and its execution was stunning. So, of course, no surprise, everyone tooted it. Seriously. Britta's cape look got a toot for construction, but a boot for the challenge because it was about capes, and her cape was almost completely invisible. Seriously. Gigi's awkward prom dress look was a total toot, as well it should be, while Heidi's Night of 1,000 Michelle Visage looks got the boot in a big way. But what was so charming about that was that Jackie had gone to Michelle's buy page or found, anyway, a copy of the actual dress that Michelle had on in the photo that Heidi had modeled her look off of as a gift for Heidi. So at least the next time a Night of 1,000 Michelles comes up, Heidi will be better prepared, seriously. And then, despite social distancing, Ru opened the library, and all the queens did well, except for Nicki, who no one understood, but the queen who stole the show was Widow Von Du. Her read to Crystal being the most beautiful woman on the planet of the apes was hilarious, and then telling Gigi that even R. Kelly wouldn't pee on her. Sorry. Here's the Widow. I don't ever want her mad at me, I'm telling you. And then it was time for questions from the fans. And normally during the reunion, queens from past seasons come up and read emailed questions. Well, in this case, we had Ms. Vanjie playing out a couple of different contestants. She changed her look for each one. It was very funny and very charming. But the best was Britta playing a viewer asking a question to herself about how if it's possible for her to describe herself without using the words New York or city. It was a very charming moment, and I'm sure that they did it specifically to help Britta with her PR. Seriously. And then Vanjie returned with one last question for the queens. Describe your season 12 experience in one word. Seriously. All the queens chose really good words, but the one queen that surprised me was Gigi, whose word was El DeBarge. And of course, that spurred all sorts of questions from RuPaul. Were they canoodling? Aren't they canoodling? Some people seem to think that they saw them canoodling in the back of a van. The world may never know. Well, at least not until the quarantine's over. Seriously. If I'm in the back of a van, I'm canoodling for sure, even if I'm alone. I'm just saying. Next, Ru asked our Ms. Cox how things were going with her judgy mother. And Jackie said, well, she had gone to see her before the series went to air to let her know she'd be on national television in women's clothing. And what I was impressed with was the fact that with all the complications that our Miss Cox's mom has had with her health, it's changed a lot of her priorities. And one of the priorities that got moved right up to the front of the line was supporting her son, the drag queen. So here's to our Miss Cox and her mom. Well done, I'm just saying. It made for an emotional moment and a perfect way to wrap up the reunion. But not before Ru asked all the queens who they thought should win season 12. Aiden Zane picked Jada. Gigi was chosen by Jan, and Widow Von Du picked Crystal. And good choices. They all deserve to win. And I'm glad they didn't go through the whole cast. They just picked one queen, each picking a queen, so no bias whatsoever. But of course, that now leads us to the only question left to ask. Who do you want to win the 12th season of RuPaul's Drag Race? Are you Team Jada? Are you Team Gigi? Are you Team Crystal? I have to say, I love all the queens. Every time one of them does something brilliant, they're my favorite. I have waffled between Jada and Gigi more, though, than Crystal. No offense to Crystal. I think that if Crystal won, it would be spectacular. But somebody on YouTube already pointed out that we had an oddball queen already win. To get one again back to back, it might be a little odd. I think personally that Jada has been the more consistent of the group because Gigi did have that dip there in the contest, but then the two of them have been neck and neck for every runway. They've both done very well in almost every challenge. It's going to be a hard pick. I'm going to say, no offense to anyone, but I'm going to say that I'm Team Jada. There's just something about Jada. Every time she surprises me because she's just being herself. Whereas I feel like on some level, and I hate to criticize this, but that Gigi's a little more aware of the effort and making, eye on the prize. There should be nothing wrong with that. But I connect more with somebody I feel is just being themselves. And I feel like Jada Essence Hall, her whole time on the whole season 12, I feel like I think that's what you would get in Milwaukee, sitting with her having a drink, or in the workroom pulling looks together. This is my opinion. How about you? Who do you think should win? Leave your thoughts down below. Also, let me know what you thought about this format for the reunion. I really liked it. I was expecting it to suck hard cheese, and it absolutely did not. So, one more episode and we're all wrapped up for season 12. I can't wait for the reunion. For the finale, because I felt that the reunion went so well. So, until next week. Oh, I'm so excited. Miss me! Mwah! Seriously, Jorge. Oh, I'm almost finished my martini. Yummy!